Greetings, members, one and all of the Salivation Nation. With an alert, Silver Squeeze 3.0 is coming. Let's explore! Before we talk about the third round of silver squeezing, first let's kind of define the term. And this is kind of really my definition of it and what I understand of it when it first started. And essentially, we know there was a squeeze going on in terms of the coronavirus pandemic and kind of the supply chain tightness and also the great demand that we saw when the price tanked to under $12 an ounce. And then we had the silver squeeze movement in effect based off of an organized effort by the Wall Street bets and Wall Street silver communities. First started out at Wall Street bets and then moved over to Wall Street silver when it was found out that on Wall Street bets, instead of trying to corner and try to squeeze the market for GameStop and AMC stocks, well, they decided, hey, something that must be more valuable over the long term would be to squeeze the silver markets. And the whole effort there was to try to add a little bit of, put a little pressure on the banks and on the COMEX by buying up the physical. Well, it was essentially a moot effort. It had a negligible effect on price for a very little amount of movement, upward movement, for a very short amount of time, because really they just cannot compete with the COMEX. And there's a lot of silver moved in and out of the COMEX. But nonetheless, there was this attempt to kind of squeeze it by buying physical silver and also PSLV, which is backed by the physical. But regardless, that did cause a squeeze on the supply of physical silver in the form of bars and coins, rounds, and all bullion styles of silver. And that was exacerbated by the supply chain issues that we've seen pretty much since the pandemic started. Well, as of the recording of this video, we're still seeing and hearing in the news about supply chain issues. There's a lot of container ships out of the West Coast and other places, and it's becoming a real problem. Fuel prices are up. Prices for all pretty much everything is up. Lumber prices are climbing back up again, and a lot of it is supply chain related, due to mainly stymies and of federal assistance that are causing, people not to work. They can get more sitting at home than they can working. Some of this stuff is ending, but regardless, now on top of that, you have these vaccine mandates that are out there, and some places like Southwest Airlines are saying no to that. And I think it's a good thing. These mandates are horrible, but it is having an effect on the supply chain. And so therefore, that leaves us to wonder, especially with the prices going low and people still buying, although the demand isn't quite where it was at the silver squeeze movement that we saw, from the Reddit community. But nonetheless, they are seeing that demand increase somewhat. And of course, that means that some stocks of silver are starting to be depleted. And you're maybe not seeing it right now, but I have it on fairly good authority from my source that there are some stocks of gold and silver, some bullion dealers that we're seeing, but they're starting to run out. In fact, I've heard that some bullion dealers are starting to run out of constitutional silver, and this stuff is getting a little bit hard to find on some bullion dealers' websites. So we're starting to see indications of it now. Now, is it mainly silver, or are we talking gold as well? More than likely, probably both. But silver, I believe, will probably be more affected because it is the cheaper buy, and so people are going to buy more of it. We might start to see this very, very soon. And so when this does happen, we will start to see major delays. and people will maybe misinterpret it as a silver shortage, but it is not an actual shortage of silver, the metal itself. It is a shortage of the products that are created, because it takes a while to create these products. It does take some time, and to get them to delivered to the bullion dealers does take time as well. And so that means that there may be times where there's these delays that we have been used to seeing in the past, which means there are going to be very high premiums coming back to us again. And who knows, it may even start very soon after you watch this video. You might start to see, okay, some of these bullion dealers are starting to see their supplies get low. They're going to increase their premiums because people are going to be buying them, and it's going to be a lot of high-priced silver. So even though the price of silver is hanging around somewhere in the $22, $23 an ounce, you're going to start paying the piper for silver very soon. So that is what, according to my source, is coming. And I trust my source because they've got some inside information. In fact, I've talked to others, and we've done interviews with other in the past, other individuals who have connections in that world. Now, what does this mean for you? Well, as is always the case, be smart with your purchases. This is in fact, because I won't name my source, you should take this for a grain of salt, but be very, very wary, because you never know what could happen with the supply chains as far as coming through. There may be, in fact, some of these bullion dealers may or may not have an order large amounts of silver to anticipate this, which means that they may have some in stock. Now, you may remember I did a video quite some time ago about a large warehouse being built to house a lot of bullion in anticipation of situations like this that could come up. So maybe some of these bullion dealers are playing it smart and placing very large orders, anticipating for supply chain issues to come down the pike. I don't know how that's going to play out. I'd be very curious to see. But regardless, I believe that some dealers are going to be affected probably more than others. But we very well may be seeing what is known as the Silver Squeeze 3.0, and not based off of any great demand from us, but because of supply chain issues. That means less bullion is getting out to the dealers in order to sell to you and I. So make your decisions accordingly as far as making purchases. I either advise to or not. I don't want to give any advice as to what you should do as far as making purchases. But here's one piece of advice I would give, and that is I don't think it's wise to sell in this environment unless you absolutely have to. And if you have to sell, or you feel like you can profit from selling, make sure you get a fair deal for your silver. In other words, if there's a Silver Squeeze 3.0 coming, and you know your local coin shop, for instance, you see they don't have very much silver in stock, you have the upper hand when you go to sell. In other words, you can take a silver bar. I mean, this is not a generic silver bar, but let's just pretend it is, and you could probably sell it for a couple dollars over spot. An American Silver Eagle, well, hey, you might be able to get $4 or $5 over spot again, like you used to, if you go to sell it. So those are the kinds of things that gives you the upper hand if you need to sell, or if you want to take some short-term profits. But I don't look at silver as an investment vehicle, and in fact, if you're going to get $5 over spot for a Silver Eagle, and you're going to be paying $12, $13 over spot for silver, I would just hold on to it or sell it. You sell it in the peer-to-peer, but be very careful selling and buying silver on a peer-to-peer network or privately, because and not only for your safety but also for just making sure you're getting a legitimate, authentic silver product out there. So there you have it. Very interesting times we live in. We all know about the supply chain issues, and silver and gold are not immune to that. And I would say especially silver is not immune to it. And so I believe we're on the precipice of it again. And it did not surprise me when my contact let me know about this. And so I thought I'd share it with you, and as a forewarning to make decisions accordingly or not, because again, you never know what could change or what could happen, or what surprises may come up on the sleeve, as far as what some bullion dealers may or may not have. But be forewarned, I think it's coming, and I do believe my source. So let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Let me ask you this question. Have you already started seeing some of these supply chain issues, or lack of variety or choices on bullion dealer websites? I've not really perused them to see what's there or out there as far as what's available, especially in the silver, what kind of products are out there. But have you seen any? Have you been on the lookout for anything and not been able to get it? The only thing I've heard about is some constitutional silver running a little thin on some bullion dealers' websites. Let me know in the comment section below. I would like to extend a multitude of gratitude to you all for taking the time to watch this video, and to encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.